Hello, I am Lisa J. Stocks. Thank you for tuning in to this week's Stock Talk episode. So let's get started. I have the investment calculator up already. And the scenario that I put in is $10,000 is your starting amount. After 26 years at a 10% rate of return, contributing $250 monthly, we would be on track to add an additional 78 to our initial 10,000 and have a portfolio with an ending balance of 461,000. And this is an average rate of return that I usually use whenever I'm using the investment calculator. And I'm throwing this in here to show you as an example because I want people to be consistent and be on track to really give their investing a chance. A lot of us at mile one, when that interest starts to roll in, we might be feeling good. If the economy is thriving a bit, if the times are not like we are currently in, then we're able to stay consistent. But things get hard. I know how it is. I'm going through it too. Like, for example, the gas prices. But let's finish this before I get into that, because I did share some gas examples last week. But I wanted to just pull this up. Is this something that you're not incorporating into your finances as far as tracking and taking a look at how your portfolio can grow? I want you to incorporate this tool, the investment calculator, knowing what you currently have invested and what you are on track to build and grow your portfolio to. So I used 26 years in this scenario because I was thinking about, a nice long race. And I wanted to use this as an example of what things look like at mile one, which would be the end of year one. That $13,000 would have interest of about $1,100. But as the years pass and you continue building, adding your $250 monthly in this scenario, but of course, you're going to put in the numbers that are realistic for you. You are going to be on track by the time we get to, let's kind of go in the middle here, year 12, we're getting interest of nearly $8,800. And then more years down the road, in our ending year, year 26, we are getting $41,000 in interest alone just by building and staying consistent. This is with us contributing $3,000 yearly. So the same investor that got started and stayed consistent, well, not the same, two different investors. One that stayed consistent, had a strategy, and by all, did everything in their power to stick with it. They are going to see their portfolio grow consistently and be on track to achieve something like this. But the person that keeps on taking breaks and feels discouraged and doesn't like the way things are going with the economy are not going to have this ending outcome. All right. So guys, thank you for tuning in. I see Just Gifted, Marlene, Zero to Infinite, many people in the chat. Thank you guys for tuning in and chatting. So I have a little message up on the screen too. If there's any stock or fund that you want to talk about, drop it in the chat and make sure to hit that like button as you come in and leave me in the chat. Let me know what like you are. If you haven't hit that like button yet, take a second to do that. Thank you, Marlene. I see Marlene just shared that she is like number 7. And guys, I went live with Marlene on Friday. We did our lunchtime live. So check that out if you haven't already. And Vincent, every week, I appreciate you so much. You support this channel in such a huge way. Vincent has been a longtime channel member and also also always drops in, wishing me a happy Sunday, along with a super chat. And Vincent, I appreciate you so much. Okay. Let's see. I was like number 5. Number 5, number 7. They're going that up and down. But yeah, I know everybody's pages are not refreshed in the same way. Okay. Are there any stocks you're looking at? There's always stocks I'm looking at. There's always stocks, but I would say the ones that I am currently most focused on building as far as individual stocks. And let me take down this investment calculator for a little bit. I do have topics, but I was going to kind of leave it open and see if the chat does throw out some questions and things that they want to look at. But overall, today's topic, if the chat is not throwing things out for us to take a look at, is going to be that we need to have a marathon mindset and just stay consistent in order to build real wealth. And, it doesn't happen overnight, and there will be ups and downs. Our portfolio is not going to move just like I was showing you in this chart. It's not going to consistently be, moving upward like this. There could be a year to 3-year stretches where it's not moving as steadily or decreasing, but we have to be ready for that and stay consistent even through those times, especially when we're thinking about retirement. And if you're 35 years old and we're talking about 30 plus years down the road, that's what we have to have, that type of mindset that we have to keep on going. We have to, even with small amounts, stay consistent. Don't overwhelm yourself because you have a long way to go, and we need to make sure that we can keep up our energy, keep up our stamina, stay motivated to keep on building. All right. Thank you, guys. East Buggy, thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much, my beautiful friends. Okay. All right. So Marlene asks if there's any stocks that I'm looking at. And if you guys have been watching any of my, DCA Invest With Me videos, where on those days when I invest, for example, $50, $60 on a particular day, some individual stocks that I've been working on building on have been Meta, Amazon, AMD, for example. Any of my Mag 7 stocks I want more exposure to, but Microsoft is another one. So Microsoft and Meta are smaller positions when it comes to my portfolio. I only have a couple of shares. I haven't been investing into them as long as some of my other investments that I've been working on, say, for 5 to 6 years. And this is all outside of my retirement account. I don't have many individual stocks in my, in my IRA. And so those are some companies that I'm working on building on. So I only have a few shares. I have about 6 shares of Microsoft, maybe about 3.5 on Meta, and a few shares on AMD also. So smaller positions that I wanted to have more exposure to. But I also I'm still interested and see the potential in some of the other names that I have been working on for some years now, like Apple, Amazon, Tesla even. So, but right now I'm seeing the opportunity with Microsoft and Meta as 2 of those individual stocks that I would like to see my position size more in line with some of those other stocks that I have. But Google is another one that I've been working on for many years now. So, and when I say I have a larger position on some of those, say I have, my largest is Apple. I have about 60 shares of Apple. And then some of the others I have maybe between, depending on the price, because each stock has a different stock price, but say between something in the high teens up to about 26 shares of each of those. Whereas, like I said, my Meta and Meta and Microsoft, AMD, those are smaller, newer positions, but there are many quality individual stocks that I don't mind having exposure to. Don't plan on adding anything new. It's very rare that I do. I would say my last individual stock that I added was Netflix. But there are also funds that I'm working on, for example, FSPGX and SMH. So one of the FSPGX is a growth mutual funds, and SMH is a semiconductor ETF. So we can take a look at those if you guys are interested. Thank you, Joe, for being a channel member since I had channel membership, 19 months. You were one of my first channel members, and I appreciate you dropping that membership milestone. So guys, if you are interested in supporting the channel, having additional live streams, prioritizing your questions, and, even answering your questions with the video, if possible, and, things like that, just extra benefits, consider becoming a channel member. So let me see. So guys, drop in the chat and let me know. So 0 to 0, the Infinity is asking, do I have traditional or Roth IRA? I actually have both going on, and I have all of my retirement accounts over at Fidelity. So you'll notice that I usually am going to be mentioning Fidelity mutual funds and my daughter's account, like everything business for my daughter and for retirement. I have all of them at Fidelity. So my videos and things I share are, for when I'm talking about my own personal experience, are going to be Fidelity funds. But I often try to make sure to incorporate similar funds from other brokerages, because there might be something that is just equally as good, similar expense ratio or the same expense ratio, similar performance. So I like to group it in that way so that someone watching my video can know like what I chose to be a quality investment in my portfolio. But if you're with a different broker, what is something in line with what you could choose over there that would be similar if you are in line or feel that the investment that I'm talking about is in line with something that you would want to have access to. So let me take a look at Vincent's comment here. Okay, Apple falling behind on AI or playing it prudent and relying on its hardware installed base and services to have some strong position in AI. So is this a question, or is Apple falling behind on AI? I think that Apple has been slower to incorporate AI and just doesn't have the resources available to have the staff, have the people in place in order to get them on track with incorporating that. But it's nothing, they don't seem to have the growth ahead that other companies may have, but I'm not disappointed or worried about Apple, because I may not see the extent of growth that I see in some of my other investments, but I'm willing to hold on to what I have so far for the long term. Now, let me take a look. Let me look up Apple as far as I was looking at some other companies, as I'm going to be going live again tonight. So I was looking at NVIDIA and some other companies, but I definitely did not look at Apple today. What I was thinking about. All right, so let's put up Apple here and pull up Apple on my phone also. Let's see. I don't have my notes on some of the other companies. All right, so Apple's PE is about 31, and their forward PE is 29. So they anticipate some improvement, but it's not as drastic as Nvidia and other companies. I am an Apple user, and I know the Apple ecosystem, and I know that Apple is trying. And even when other people might say that other phones or other products are better, there are people that are just diehard fans. And once you have everything and they're connected and working together, they wind up sticking with it. So let me take a look at what Apple is anticipated to. So, according to analysts, they think that Apple is on track for a potential about 22% upside. So, price targets right now are about 304. So, it's has some growth potential, but did I lose your audio? Can you guys hear me okay? I see Joe was making a comment here. Are you guys able to hear me and see me okay? Let me know. So, yeah, I would say yes. Overall, Apple needs to get the right people in place in order to further their AI advancements and improvements when it comes to their lines of products. But at the same time, I think people will wait and people will continue buying, and we'll still see them have growth in the future. Maybe not as fast, definitely not as fast as an Nvidia or some of these other names like Microsoft and some of the other companies that I've been mentioning already in this show, as far as Mag 7 or large market cap companies that I'm working on. But it at one point was over 50% of my portfolio. I've done a lot to shift that. And like I said, I'm going to be holding on to my 50 shares. Oh, you hear me now? Okay, great. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you. I kept on going, wasn't even checking to see. I thought everything was okay. Yeah, maybe your phone was just. So Samsung is better than Apple. Samsung is better. Even Apple thinks it because it uses Samsung parts. Basically, iPhones should be Sam. Well, I don't know about that. Ever since I've only had iPhones as far as smartphones since I moved over to them when I moved from the old flip phone or whatever. I've always had iPhones. So. And it's grown. My products. I have I have all Apple products that I'm using, and it works for me. I love the way they're connected. So I'm one of those people. All right, so guys, let me know if there's any other companies. I'm hoping prices stay down. Okay, I'm hoping prices stay down as I am DCing 800 every 2 weeks. That is great. That is great. So if your budget allows for it while the prices are down, don't try to time it. If you can do more now and you see the trends, and it's crystal clear to all of us that our portfolios are down. So if you can do more, do it now. All right. Yes, I am one person. I am one. Well, there's really not going to be an opportunity. I can't see me upgrading my phone and going to Samsung just to give it a try. It's not like some other things that I do give a try, but I usually do take on that attitude. But yeah, I don't know when I can incorporate trying out another phone. Okay. Any opinion of upcoming SCHD rebalance? Now, I really don't know what it's going to hold. SCHD is doing much better. Let me see. Can I put it on the, what could I put it on with? Let's see. Let's put VOO. Let's put VOO. Can I put that on with, oh yeah, I should be able to. And let's put in SCHD against it compared to SCHD. Okay, and then let's put this on some shorter time frames, year to date. All right, so SCHD has finally turned around. The upcoming reconstitution, rebalancing, I don't know what it's going to do. I hope it doesn't mess up the little bit of growth that we've finally gotten from SCHD. I do have it in my portfolio. It's not a huge position. I think I might have like maybe 25 or 30 shares, but I've decided to shift away from really adding to my dividend paying investments, maybe other outside of Main Street Capital. The others I'm just going to hold, but not really build into, because I think that I need to prioritize growth in my portfolio. So it's definitely investment that gives exposure to different names than the big tech names that I've been talking about today. I don't know what this reconstitution will hold. It will definitely always be an investment that I'm sure gives you diversification, and some in the top 10, it's going to be, those names that are familiar to us, but not the Apples and Nvidias, because it's a dividend focused investment. But I hope that whatever comes in this reconstitution that's coming up in a few days, I think on the 23rd. When is the 23rd? Is that tomorrow? It's coming up tomorrow. It stays on track, even though it's a dividend paying investment. I'm sure that people that are holding it for the long term, especially if they are younger, love to see some growth along with those steady dividends. Even though we're not supposed to think about that, we're supposed to be clear in knowing that it's a dividend paying investment. So year to date, I threw this on here against the S&P 500 just to give you guys a visual on how things have turned around for SCHD. It's up 10.79% year to date, while the S&P 500, which is led by those big tech companies and names like Amazon, Tesla, things like that, is down close to 5%. But if we go out to a further time frame, 5-year, we see it's drastically different. Whereas SCHD, as far as the share price, up about 24%, while VOO, which tracks the S&P, is up 64%. So you get those steady dividends, a higher dividend payer, much higher, maybe 4 times higher than the S&P. So that's what it's for. It's for income and stability and diversification, but you're not going to get that growth. Okay, and thank you, Joe, for that blessing, and happy birthday to your son. I know you guys were probably celebrating last weekend, but it's really a nice milestone and graduation coming up. So I know you guys are having an exciting time right now. It's coming up for me too, because I know we had our kids way back in 2008, but just a few months apart, it seems. All right, let me see if anybody has any other funds that they're listing specifically. MacBook Neo is selling well. Okay. Yes, and yeah, another thing that Apple's been doing is trying to incorporate different price points. I don't know how that MacBook, I just do so much, and I have so many tabs open, and I will run out of space quickly. So I know that they're putting out some products with for different price points in order to get that the buyers into the store, but I think that people, if they're like me, are going to outgrow them quickly. So, but it's good to see that sales are strong. So yeah, so I guess if I have the right date in mind, yeah, I guess maybe I'll be coming to you tomorrow just to give a little recap of what is going to happen with SCHD, and also rebalancing for SPMO, and the S&P 500 as a whole is going on right now too. It's that time. It's that time of year. Okay. So, guys, let me know if there's anything else any specific funds or stocks that you want to chat about, or different areas that you're interested in hearing that I might be holding in my portfolio. And if I missed any question or comment, please, extra space. That's what SD cards and micro SD are. Oh gosh, I just want to have something that just works and gives me, I don't want to have to go and do all those things, but I get your point that you can build on it as needed. But I'm a person that just have seen my behavior when it comes to my devices, and so if I can, I'm going to try to start off day one with a device that has a large amount of space so I don't have to go through that. But all right. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on the chat. So I still have my note up on the screen. So if anybody comes in, make sure you feel free to drop a fund or stock that you might want to take a look at, and we can do that. But let me go back to my notes. And today's topic was basically thinking about having a marathon mindset and just being consistent and being willing to stay on track for a long period of time when it comes to building your portfolio. All right, let's see. I have another question here. I'm curious about if O is good stock or red or not, because I'm sorry, the chat is moving and I lost the comment that I was looking at. Okay. I'm curious about if O is a good stock or not, because it will be my first time buying a REIT. I don't off the top of my head know of, I can't think of like different REITs to consider. Maybe I can do a post on that, but I would have to take a few minutes to take a look at that. So Realty Income, that one, like SCHD, has had me frustrated not frustrated, but because it is a monthly dividend paying company, it did that job. It paid me my monthly dividends, but I wasn't seeing the growth in it. And I'm saying this, and I know a dividend investment is to pay you those steady, consistent dividends. You're not looking at it for growth. And that's why I've shifted away from focusing on them, because I don't feel that it's the time for me. It's not in line with what I want to do right now. I want to focus more on growth than those monthly dividends. So Realty Income, I haven't read up on the news lately, but I am going to be including it because I cut it back. I do share quarterly my dividends received in my taxable accounts and some of my IRA positions, just so that you guys can see what I'm still holding and the dividends that are coming in. But Realty Income is one that has been a long stretch of time. I've been holding it for about 5 years and pretty much flat as far as growth. And but they historically, I don't know for how many years now, have been raising their dividends, and Never had any, never paused it, never cut. So that's what it's known for. But there are probably some others I'm seeing down here at the bottom. So maybe if you can take a look at Google Finance, it gave me some other companies that you can compare it to, and do a little bit of research if that you're concerned or interested in digging deeper to find out what REIT might be a good fit for you. Realty income might be for you, the fit that you want, but I'm holding on to still over 100 shares within my portfolios, but not building on it because, like I said, I want to just go in a different direction. But there may definitely be another REIT that maybe gives a different balance, that's more in line with what you want for your long-term portfolio. But yeah, this is on the 5-year time frame, and the realty income is down 2%. But like I said, Google Finance will give you some, or you can, surely do some research on different REITs. So let's see. Rod shared a few in the chat. And AGNC, that is one that I've heard of, but not familiar with any details off the top of my head. So we would have to take time to look it up. All right, let me see if there's any other comments. Okay, you'll check it out. Okay, great. And okay. All right, so guys, thank you, Rod, for sharing some additional funds. Seems like Zero the Infinity is taking notes. Okay, so let me know if there's any ETFs or other funds that we might be able to chat about, guys. But let's see. Let's jump back to the well, no, we can just stay on the chart, actually. Let's put VOO back in. Let's put it on a bit of a shorter time frame so we can see. So this is year to date. This is the S&P 500. And it's just been dropping and dropping month after month. So we were at 623, 623. And June, it's a month later. No, not even a month. A couple weeks later. But yeah, this is what we're going through right now. And this is what investing can look like. But we have to just think about larger time frames. Things are going to happen. And I've done this before in the past. The biggest dips on here, if I take the time to go and look up these dates and look up the news, we will easily be able to tie it to what was going on as far as, the administration, the economy, COVID, when Trump was implementing all of these tariffs, right now dealing with these tensions and war times. So take that into account when you are building your portfolio, when you are looking at the performance, because I want everyone to make sure you're staying consistent. Realize that compounding takes time, and let me speak for myself. I am not a perfect person that knows how to sit here and time everything perfectly and catch the exact bottom and know how to go in heavily. And so what I'm doing is staying consistent, dollar cost averaging, sticking with my budget in that way, but also having cash on hand and doing my best to set limit orders or go in and manually invest, but not stressing myself about timing, because when you think about on the short term is one thing. But what I tell people right now that I've met with over the last few weeks, I know it's a rough time. I know if you get started investing today, most likely you're going to see your portfolio go down potentially a bit more, but we don't know exactly the day that things are going to turn around. So I don't want you to just continue to sit on this money, because 5 years down the road, even 3 years down the road, you're going to barely remember what we're going through today. Your portfolio is going to be thriving. And so we need to think about the future for those of us that have time. And, I always say that investing is not a one size fit all thing. We all have different time horizons when it comes to when we're going to be retiring and those things, and risk tolerance, and so many different factors. So when people ask, give me a 3-fund portfolio or give me a recommendation for this or that, it's like I always have a few questions that I and a lot of, like, over in I have a channel in Keenan Grace's Discord. And over there, I think some people have gotten in tune with this, that I just can't throw this question out to Lisa, because Lisa's going to be like, well, how many years is this going to be in place for? Is this short term, long term? How old? Not necessarily how old are you, but give me some kind of context so that I can give an answer and with a little bit of direction on what I truly feel, because I can give a high level answer, but is that going to be helpful? And I don't want to say something and it's not the right fit for the person's age or risk tolerance or needs. So I've seen people talking more about VOO, but not IVV, even though IVV has brought in better returns than VOO. Okay, let's see. Let's put it on the chart with IVV. So IVV is the iShares S&P 500. Okay, that they're exactly the same. They both track the S&P 500, and there's a slight difference, but it's the same 64%. I wasn't familiar with what IVV is off the top of my head, so I had to put it in here. I usually reference. This is what I mean. There's different. Let me duplicate this tab. Okay, let's get rid of these. Let's put some S&P 500 investments in. But yeah, if it tracks the actual S&P, it should be pretty much exactly the same. So we have IVV, we have VOO, we have SPYM. Here for a couple of examples. And yeah, there's a few percentage difference, but they all track the S&P, so they should be very close in line. Now, what is the difference here? IVV actually even has the same expense ratio as VOO, so I would say those are just equal. It has a slightly higher dividend yield at 1.24 versus 1.18, but yeah, all three of these investments are just the same. Okay. Thank you, Rod, for welcoming everyone in the chat. Hello to anyone that I may have missed. And if you have any questions, comments, funds that you'd like to take a look at. Oh, like number 15? Thank you. Okay. All right. So what was I doing before we came back over to this? But yeah, we see this year everything is down, but we have to think long term to 10 years down the road, 5 years, 3 years. Give your portfolio some time. So, guys, earlier in the show, Marlene asked me what individual stocks I was working on. Do you guys want to share any that you are currently working on, stocks or funds, when it comes to your portfolio? Or are you just staying consistent with contributing to your 401k through your employer? But even if that's what your primary focus is, your, I don't know what the ones for teachers is called, TSP or 401k, 403b. I am always encouraging you guys to have an understanding of what you are investing into, no matter what it's under, if it's something that you're controlling as far as your own Roth IRA, obviously you should 100% know what you're investing into. Make sure that your money is invested, not sitting there in cash getting, a rate just like your high yield savings account. Take the time to put the research into what hopefully a majority, high percentage of funds you are going to invest into, if not 100% funds, and do that work to figure out what individual stocks, if you feel that you want to do the research on them, you want to incorporate in your portfolio. So, what is your long-term goal? For example, are you trying to double your net worth in the next 7 years or 10 years? I don't have a definite goal that I could share with you like that. And I've never shared my FIRE number on my channel because it seems to be always evolving. But, I try to, like I said a few weeks back, I share a lot. I share as much detail as I'm comfortable sharing, and everything that you know, I have goals set for myself. I do check my net worth on a regular basis, not a monthly basis, like I think Daryl, who is Fire with Dr. Ninja Turtle here on YouTube, does. But I can't tell you a specific time frame and goal like that. Let's see. Still buying in this red market? Yes, I am still buying in this red market. East Boogie, is that a statement or a comment or a question? I am definitely still buying. This is the time to buy. Wealth is built in the red. And so I want recessionary times, these hard times, to get me further into millionaire status or keep us all on track to get there. I got a share of RCAT even though it's slightly down. I bought it at 11. I'm still gaining from it. Okay. I am not familiar with that, what that is. Red Cat Holdings. Okay. Well, let's look on the side here. Does it tell us what type of company this is? There's no description. Headquartered in Puerto Rico. I'm not familiar with this company. They make military drones. Okay. Yeah. So that's something that is down on the day, but something that could be, let's see what it's looking like year to date. year to date, that investment is up 67%. So yes, these economic times, these economic tensions and everything that we're going through is impacting that one in a terrific way. But I really don't have any of those defensive type investments in my portfolio. I've focused on, big tech and growth. And when you look out to those on longer time frames, that's what matters to me than for me to have been concentrating on holding those positions just for the sake of diversification and to have something that's kind of up in my portfolio when we are going through these times like we are right now. And I'm going to put in an example that someone brought up recently. So I'm putting in VT and VTI over here on this chart. Let me see. If the president is trying to press out the country, I might as well get paid for it. Yeah. Okay, so I put VT and VTI on this chart. And so VT is the Vanguard Total World Stock ETF, and VTI is the total US stock market ETF. So VT has a 0.06% expense ratio, VTI 0.03. VT has a higher dividend yield, closer to 2%, 1.85, and then VT is at 1.17. Not that these are dividend paying investments, but they do usually pay a quarterly dividend. But taking a look at the performance, and let's put this on. So year to date, VT is down 3%, VTI is down about 4%. But when we go out to further out time frames, let's see. VTI is up 71, VT is up 65. I think the further we go out, we'll always see that VTI is always, except for times like we're going through right now, VTI would always be beating VT as far as performance. So it's your personal choice as to, what type of funds you want to incorporate and hold, and maybe give your portfolio some stability or just a boost when we're going through times like we are currently. Okay. I don't see any new comments. Let me take a real station break. If you guys are new to my channel and enjoying this conversation today, this is what we do over here, talk about all things related to investing, budgeting, finance, credit, money related topics. So if you are new here and enjoy what we're sharing, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, check out my referral links. And there are many ways that you can support the channel. So become a channel member, open up an account at MooMoo. It's all in my description of all of my videos. All right. Okay. So guys, note is still up on the screen. Any stocks and funds that you want to take a look at, let me know. And let's talk a little bit about what is your why. And I've been saying my why has not changed. If anything, I just added more whys to my list. So for a majority of my life, my why was retirement. That was my only investing goal, was add to my 401k, and that's that. But later on in life, I added some additional reasons as to why I was investing. And I would say the second thing that came up for me, and guys, share in the chat, what are your why are you investing? Okay, so after retirement, next for me was early retirement, or to just maximize the growth of my money for me to potentially tap into, take profit for whatever I wanted. Potentially, having to buy my next vehicle, bridging that gap, of course, as I said, bridging the gap between whatever age I'm able to retire up into at least past that 59 and a half, or even later, 62, 65, whatever number that is for me, bridging that gap by having investments that I could tap into before that time frame. Then from there, I gained knowledge and did some research on UTMA accounts, 529 plans. And so I did that because I was making sure to bring my daughter along with me on this journey now that I had a better understanding and felt ready to open up an investment account for her. And so what I did was I decided to go with a UTMA account, which is a Uniform Transfers to Minors Act, is what that stands for. And so she has investments there. And then when she was 13, we then also opened her Fidelity Youth account. So that's for age like 13 to 17, and gave her another place to hold investments, as well as a debit card and let's see, a debit card, and just more hands-on experience with getting an understanding of how to budget and manage and hold on to her money. And it has a great feature in there. I think she mentioned something had changed. I'm not sure if but when she was able to create the buckets in there automatically. So when when money got deposited into her account on her Fidelity Youth account, it was automatically breaking out into the 5 buckets. So it was a way of teaching her, between both of her accounts, it was a way of teaching her about investing, budgeting, saving, having a higher paying interest account. So that's one of my whys. And then I went on further with that, and I decided I have an LLC, I have a business. I even decided at one point, just a couple years ago, to also open an investment account for my business. So I just keep on building on it because I definitely see the advantage of being able to see my money grow in a way that it would not. And it's been the best opportunity. It's really changed my life. Having an understanding, staying consistent, really making sure that my money is positioned in a way that it is growing and thriving. And every day I feel that I am on track, that my money is making more money without me having to do anything other than stay consistent, leave it invested, do not disrupt the power of my compound interest that is building and growing, going back to my example that I started off the show with today. So I see what can happen when you just let your money stay invested and on track to build and grow in this way. And so I say this all of the time, that this is why I want us to have, there's so many elements to being on track with your money. So I want us to have emergency savings, some cash on hand, so that you are able to pay your credit cards, deal with things that come up, not have to be overly stressed and run yourself into debt and so much worries if there is a gap of time when you are in between jobs or something like that. Or back to what I was starting to talk about earlier, I've seen gas prices go from 311 to between 340 to 350. That's what I was saying in last Sunday's show. And I tell you, I didn't pass that same gas station that I referenced last week. I was a couple of towns away from where I live. I was picking up my daughter from the arcade. But the gas prices last night were about 370 to 380. So this is what I mean, that we have to be ready for these things, because I don't want us to run ourselves into debt. So yes, having cash on hand is a part of it. Having credit available to us is another element, so that you can handle those things. But I don't want you to have those credit card balances lingering. I don't want you to have to pay interest. That's just to handle the emergency today, but I want you to be able to clear it up. And I'm talking about this stuff because I don't want the point I'm trying to make is I want our money to stay invested for its intended purpose. I don't want us to be taking $10,000, $15,000 loans or tapping into our retirement portfolios and disrupt the power of compound interest that we were on track to achieve if we did not tap into it for reasons outside of what it was intended for. So, okay. So guys, make sure that you take a second to give the live a thumbs up if you haven't already. Thank you, Chad, for tuning in. Okay. I'm just taking a quick look back through the chat. And again, I want to say thank yous to Vincent and Thrive and Glow with Joe for those super chats. And for both of them for being longtime channel members. I appreciate you. All right. Okay, so no one is sharing their why, what their main why for investing is. I shared all of mine, and yeah, I think that it helps you to really stay on track and set your goals when you know what it is that you're working to achieve. And so when it comes to my retirement, obviously we know what that is, so that I can have security, not be dependent on Social Security, the little pensions that I anticipate receiving, having additional funds that I will be able to draw from in retirement, and be able to be on track to take care of my medical costs, all of my costs. And then for my daughter, something to give her a head start instead of just holding on to cash in a savings account, seeing different positions in her portfolio growing by 50, 60, 70%. That's not going to happen if I just leave it in cash or leave it in a CD where she would be getting, a few percent interest. But it also gave me the opportunity, as I mentioned, to teach her and let her see hands-on, for herself, the true power of compound interest growth, have an understanding of the difference between investing into individual stocks, funds, and things like that. So my why is to take advantage of earning power of the movement of money. Money never sleeps, never needs a vacation, and is moving constantly. Yes. Okay. And then Chad, who has lots of little ones running around his house. My why is also to show my kids that money can work for you just as hard as you work for it. I also want to show them below the surface of transactions, facilitating money through ownership is it. Okay. Yes, it is so important. And, you know, depending on the household that you come from and what you learned growing up, these are concepts that some of us grew up having an understanding of, but I would say many of us did not. And so it's an opportunity to change things for the future and let your children know that it's important to prioritize investing and being on track to build wealth and realize that it's not just about going out and earning and spending. It's about positioning your money so that it's making more money for you without you even having to lift a finger. So you don't have to lift a finger, but you have to do research and have an understanding. And being in households like I'm trying to have here, and I know that from what Chad just shared, he is trying to create in his family will give you that example so that they can move forward with that and hopefully listen and incorporate that going forward. All right. Okay. So, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. Drop any funds, questions that you might have in the chat, and we can take a look at that. And if you're new here, let me know how you discovered my channel. And I think today we talked about a mix of both ETFs and individual stocks. But another thing I'm always talking about is you do not have to pick individual stocks, especially if it's for a long-term portfolio that you might want it to be more of a set it and forget it. Not literally, but set it and not have to monitor it, watch it like a hawk. We touched on earlier that SCHD, the S&P 500, some of those major funds are rebalancing this month. And so that's what investing into a fund is. And as we were looking at different funds on the chart, I was touching on what the expense ratio is. And so that is the fee that you're going to have to pay for these managed funds. But I'm always mentioning those because I want you to find one that has low fees. And so you know that it's managed, it's going to rebalance for you. There's someone working and researching and making sure that you're getting exposure to the quality investments there. But you don't have to do the work yourself. And so if you were to invest into a fund like VTI, which is the total US stock market, and then come back and look at it 10 or 15 years later with that drip on that is automatically reinvesting your dividends, it would be growing on its own as companies' market cap changes. You're going to get, a different mix of exposure to what's in that fund, and it's going to do it for you at a low fee to, incorporate it. So you're not losing money to those fees to the fund's managers. Okay. All right, then. Well, Gerald, you have a good rest of your day. And I've been on for a little over an hour. I will be back next week. Guys, let me know if you like the structure of the way I was doing the show today, just pulling up different things on the chart. And I hope things are warming up for you in your area. It's 2 days into spring, I believe. Was Friday morning the first day of spring? I think it was. And so things are going to start to turn around. Maybe we'll be a little bit more having cookouts and things soon enough, and things will warm up. No more having to arrange snow removal and all of that. Summer is ahead. And so thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. I usually add chapters to my live streams the day after. So if you got in late or had to leave early, you can always check back and be able to pick up if you would like to check out anything that you might have missed. And guys, leave me a comment after the live is over. Let me know your thoughts, comments, questions, anything that you would like to see in the future. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I will see you next Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And just taking one last look at the chat. Okay, I don't see anything new. Thanks for watching. Okay, bye.
And to investments, she make a lot on YouTube. Lisa J Stocks. Lisa J Stocks, that's the channel. Hey. If you wanna make some money, visit Lisa J Stocks. Yeah. You will make a lot. If you wanna make some money, visit Lisa J Stocks. Okay. She'll